What made you realize that there was something off about your family? I was 4 years old when I first asked my mom why me and my little brother Eli weren't allowed to go outside, and that was the first time that she told me we had severe allergies to sunlight. Eli was only a year younger than me, but I was already seeing him as more of a son than a brother, because as our mom draped thick black fabric over each window and warned us that just one beam of sunlight touching our skin would cause death, all we had was each other. You see, our mother used this supposed sunlight allergy to control everything. What we ate, what we learned, what we knew about the world outside, and we believed it. Every word of it, actually. It was such a strange dynamic, because on the one hand, I hated my mom for not getting an abortion when she had the chance, and on the other hand, I loved her for feeding me. She had convinced me that 90% of kids on the outside starve to death, so I was lucky I even got fed anything. This story, along with the dozens of others about what an amazing hero she was, convinced me that she was an angel, but Eli didn't have that problem. No matter how many times I tried to defend our mom, he continued to completely despise her. And I guess I helped with that. You see, he never really bought into the whole Stockholm Syndrome thing, because most of his love and support came from me instead of our mother. It was like a sort of drip system. Mom would give us a set amount of food, I'd secretly set aside around a quarter of it, and always give Eli the majority. One time she caught me doing this and wailed on me for not being harsh enough on Eli. And when it came to my rules or punishments, I always listened to her. But when it came to Eli, there was no way I'd watch him suffer as much as I did. So I became skilled at sneaking food under the mattress, hiding it beneath my pillow, or carefully slipping it into his small hands when mom wasn't looking. Eli would whisper a thank you with wide, grateful eyes. Keeping him safe was sort of like a coping mechanism, because the more I focused on him, the less I had to think about myself. Then, one afternoon, our entire world fell apart, because that's when we heard it. A loud banging at the front door. Our mother screamed for us to hide, her voice trembling with genuine fear. My heart hammered in my chest as footsteps rushed through the hallway. Moments later, a woman burst into the room. She was tall, with dark curly hair tied back neatly. Her eyes widened in shock as they adjusted to the darkness, and she immediately ran toward us. I flinched, instinctively bracing myself for punishment or pain, but instead, she enveloped us in a gentle hug. My body froze at the unfamiliar sensation of comfort. Eli clung desperately to her sleeve, his small frame trembling. The woman introduced herself as Miss Jenna from Child Protective Services, promising us we were finally safe. "Please don't murder us," I yelled as she offered for us to leave. I was ready for her to tell us the lies my mom had prepped us for, how the sun wasn't actually bad, how being outside was a good thing, all stuff my mom warned me that the outside world would tell us, but she didn't say any of that. Instead, she just looked at me with a look I'd never seen before. Softness. It was so reassuring that I trusted her to lead. Stepping outside for the first time was surreal. Bright sunlight assaulted my eyes, temporarily blinding me, but gradually the shapes around me came into focus. Trees, buildings, cars, all seemed like things from another planet. Eli held onto Jenna tightly, eyes closed against the bright daylight. He whimpered softly, and I gently stroked his hair, promising him it was okay. In the weeks following our rescue, Eli and I began adjusting to the world. My stomach hurt all the time, and I was sleeping for 20 hours a day, because it was the first time that I hadn't existed in a state of constant starvation. And me and Eli got so used to sleeping on the floor that it was actually hard to sleep on a bed. And throughout all the newfound comfort, an unsettling feeling gnawed at my stomach, something I couldn't quite understand. And up to this point, I had pretty much spent my entire life living by instinct. So instead of simply waiting for the nagging feeling to go away, I chased it. I dug through boxes retrieved from our old apartment, piles of junk mail, bills, old newspapers. None of it seemed important at first. Then I found neatly stacked official documents carefully hidden inside an envelope labeled medical files. My heart pounded painfully against my ribs as I scanned each document. My level of reading was so bad that I could barely make out the words. But after 2 hours of investigating, I finally figured it out. Well, kinda. On every disability check addressed to our mother, it was acknowledged that me and my brother's sun allergy was a legitimate illness requiring continued isolation. And at the bottom of every page was Jenna's signature. The letter spanned at least 5 years. A mix of anger and confusion swirled violently in my mind. Full story on channel, linked below.